So here's that lawnmower that I just replaced the ignition module in it. I have decided to clean the carburetor on it. It's the exact same carburetor as on the Toro that I cleaned the carb a couple weeks ago, which I had posted on YouTube as well. So I'm going to put the link to that video below the video to this one here so that you can compare both of them. So you're first going to have to start by removing the muffler here and then the two bolts right here, and the whole thing's going to come off. First, you're going to need to remove the three bolts on top of the tank there. You'll need to remove the dipstick, then pry the tank up like that. You're going to need to disconnect the fuel tank. Oh, the clip's broken. Tip it over so it doesn't leak out on you. Next, take out the two phillips screws here. So now that you got the carburetor like that, you want to undo the linkages from up here. You need to push it back, and it's going to come out. And then the bottom one is just like that. So now I've got the carburetor off. Make sure you remember the hole that this linkage went in. And as you can see here, it's the second hole to the front. First, start by removing the air filter just by turning it and pulling back. Now, it looks pretty dirty. I just can imagine what it looks like in there. Well, let's see. And this is 1/2 inch, by the way. And you may get some fuel that's going to leak out. You can see that the bowl is corroded on the edges. That's bad. And the fixed jet looks pretty dirty, so that could be the problem right there. So I'm going to remove the float and the needle just by removing the pin here. Needle is going to come out with it. Good thing to do with the float when you take it off is shake it. You can shake it by your ear, and if you hear fuel in it, it needs to be replaced. And this one's good because I do not hear any liquid inside the float. So I'm going to remove the O-ring here. And I've got the tool here to remove the seat in there. If you don't have this tool, you can use a paper clip. So I'm just going to spray a bit of carb cleaner. On this carb here, I'm going to run my soft wire brush on my drill on the edges of the carb here where the seal goes. You don't want to push too hard because you don't want to scratch it too deep. So now that it's clean, I'm just going to run a 5/64 drill bit through the emulsion tube. And it's clean. Gotta make sure that it's really clean inside there, or it's not going to run right. Next, I'm going to clean the fixed jet there on my wire brush over here. Now the fixed jet, you'll notice that there's a hole that goes right across, and then there's a little hole here, which you have to use a small wire for that. And you have to see the wire through the inside like that. And the little hole in the center here needs to be cleaned as well. And you should see the wire come in through the big hole in the center. Then you can spray some carb cleaner in there again, and she's good to go. So the Tecumseh carb kit I'm going to use for that is number 631021B. And this is what it consists of: the O-ring, needle, clip, gasket, and seat. Air blew the carburetor after cleaning the outer edges. I'm just going to start by inserting the seat. So the part of the seat with the groove in it goes flat in the bottom of the carb. If you don't have this tool, You can use a small drill bit and just push it in like that. Next, install your O-ring. Then the needle comes separate from the clip, so you have to clip it in like this. Just like that. Now you want to insert the needle into the hole on the float first and insert it on like this. The manual says to point the open part of the clip toward the air filter. I don't think it really matters, but that's what they recommend. And then insert it in there like that. Now you want to insert this pin here. So just line up the holes. You might have to wiggle it a bit just to get it in. There we go. Before you reinsert your carburetor, make sure that the needle is going up and down with the float like that. So now we'll put the bulb back on, and always put the flat area toward the needle part of the carburetor. Next, put your gasket on the fixed jet. Stick it on. So now your carburetor is fixed up and ready to be installed. So is hook up the part of the linkage in the lower hole here. So this is what it's going to look like. The linkage is in there. And it's the second hole from the front here. And now just put the 2 bolts on here. And now just install your muffler. And that's a 7/16. Now I'm going to hook up the fuel tank back on. Now make sure when you reinsert the fuel tank, you put these 2 clips here into the grooves over here. And don't forget, you have to remove the dipstick first. Next, you've got the 3 little 5/16 bolts here. The old air filter that was in there. It's part number 35066. And I'm going to put a new one in. To put the filter in, just put it over here. It's going to kind of clamp in there. Make sure the filter's pushed in right against the backing plate. Then you want to line up this little clip here on the housing over here. There's a groove here. And then just push it in. Then push it in and turn it clockwise, and it's going to lock it in there. So I've got it all ready to go. I'm going to give it a start, see what happens. A couple primes. It runs good. It's got a bit of oil on it from spillage, so I don't want to run it too much late at night. It's ready to go now. Just going to wash it up, and she's done.